Healthy Relationships, brought to you by the Advocacy Alliance South Central Healthcare Quality Unit. The information presented to you today is intended to increase your awareness. The information is not intended to replace medical advice. If you are in need of medical advice, please contact your healthcare provider. The objectives of this presentation are that the participant will learn about the different types of relationships, boundaries within a relationship, how to identify a healthy relationship, how to identify an unhealthy relationship, and positive communication in a relationship. This image is from the Social Circles program. You may have seen this before. Imagine yourself standing in the center of the purple circle. This circle represents you, and all of the other circles represent the relationships in your life. You can see that the closer the circles are to you, the closer those relationships tend to be to you. Keep in mind that each person has unique circumstances, so some of the relationships may be different for different people. For example, the closest circle to you is the blue family circle. Some individuals may not have close family, and therefore this would not apply. But in many people's lives, the people in the family circle are the people that are the closest to them. Next is the friendship circle. These people are those in our lives who we spend time with, have things in common, have a trust relationship that has developed over time. We sometimes use the term friend very loosely and may refer to people as a friend that we really don't fall into that circle. Think about how many people might be your Facebook friends that are not truly friends. Also, treating each other in a friendly way doesn't necessarily equal friendship. The next circle is the yellow acquaintance circle. The people in this circle are not friends, but they are not strangers either. These are people in your life that you may know, but you haven't established a relationship with. These may be people in your school that you know because you see them in the halls or even in class, but you don't necessarily spend any time with them outside of those situations. These could be neighbors, people you see at religious services, co-workers, supervisors, and others who you would call acquaintances. The orange circle contains the people who are helpers in the community. These could be your teachers, doctors, support staff, nurses who care for you, support coordinators, job coaches, and other people who are paid to help you. Their jobs are to support or help you to live the best life you can live and do that as independently as possible. Then we get to the furthest circle away from you, which would be the red stranger circle. These are people who you may come across in the community, but you do not know them. It doesn't matter how nice they are or what they offer you, you do not know if they're safe or dangerous. This also goes for people you meet online. You can talk to them online for months, but if you haven't met them, they still fall in the red stranger circle. Think about that before you give out personal information or meet up with someone you've never actually met before. Ask yourself, if this was a person I met while walking through Walmart and they asked me for my address, would I give it to them? Obviously not. So why would it be okay to do the same with someone you don't really know that you met on the internet or social media? So thinking about the social circles, let's talk about boundaries within those relationships. What are the different kinds of touching that people do? We may hug, give high fives or fist bumps, rub someone's back, pat them on the shoulder, kiss, and other intimate touching. Thinking on those circles, who is it okay to hug? Family, probably. Friends, maybe, if they want to be hugged. Acquaintances, probably not. But even if you would hug a coworker or a teacher hugs you, you should always ask and be asked for permission to do so. It is always okay to say no to unwanted touching or affection. What about hugging a stranger? Hopefully you are aware that this is never a good idea. Ask yourselves about the rest of the types of touching and think about the different relationships in your life while you're deciding what boundaries should not be crossed based on those relationships. In addition to touching boundaries, we need to think about conversation boundaries too. Sharing personal information with strangers and acquaintances can be dangerous, such as address, social security number, password, sometimes even your phone number. Social Security numbers should only be shown in very specific situations, such as if you are applying for a job or filing an insurance claim. There are also topics that are private, so should only be shared with the circles closest to you, unless it is about an illness and you are talking to a healthcare provider or staff supporter. Otherwise, we don't discuss these matters with strangers or acquaintances. Topics like sexual relationships are also private and should be talked about with those in your closest circles or your medical professionals and sometimes support staff if you happen to have a question. You can maintain your relationship boundaries by expressing your need for personal space. If someone is getting too close to you or even touching you in a way that is not comfortable or you haven't given permission for, it is absolutely fine to express that to the other person, no matter what circle they fall in. It is also important to watch others' facial expressions and body language. If you are about to touch someone or you're close to them, are they leaning back? Are they frowning? Are their muscles very tight and tense? Paying attention to these nonverbal cues can help you to maintain boundaries of others. If you are told to move out of someone's personal space, we need to respect that request and do so. It may hurt our feelings in the moment, but it is important for everyone to respect each other's boundaries and personal space. Everyone's need for space is different. We also need to respect boundaries with respect to phone calls, texting, and comments on social media. How much is too much? Texting someone 20 times a day may be okay if it's a close friend and the friend is doing the same thing, but if one person is texting and the other is not responding, that might be a clue that the person is texting too much. This can be resolved with simply asking the other person how they feel about that much communication. Be prepared for honest feedback, and you can do the same if you're the one receiving too much communication. If you don't like it, it's okay to ask them to stop or to slow down. People in a healthy relationship communicate honestly with one another. They listen to one another. They mostly feel happy when they are together. People aren't always going to feel happy, but that should be the strongest feeling that they have the majority of the time when they're together. They treat each other with respect. They compromise when there is a disagreement. It shouldn't be one person always giving in and the other person always taking. And also, people in a healthy relationship share decision making. It should not be just one of the people making all the decisions for both people. People in an unhealthy relationship are controlling and possessive. A partner should not be telling another partner what to wear, how to act, who they can spend their time with, and they should not be making decisions for the partner. People in an unhealthy relationship might be abusive verbally, physically, emotionally, and/or financially. If a partner is calling names at the other person, being mean, saying things that the other person will feel badly about him or herself, that is not healthy. Our job, if we're in a relationship, is to build each other up, not tear each other down. That's true of a friendship or a romantic relationship as well. No one should be hit, kicked, pinched, pushed, or any other form of physical abuse. There is never an excuse for this. One partner shouldn't always have to spend money while the other partner doesn't. That could be financial abuse. People in an unhealthy relationship often insist on getting their own way most of the time. That's not fair, and that is an unhealthy sign of a relationship. In an unhealthy relationship, people might pressure their partners into doing things they don't want to do. They also may move too fast before really having time to establish trust. So what should people do if they do discover or realize that they are in an unhealthy relationship? Well, remember, it's important to express your feelings honestly and openly. Maybe the other partner doesn't realize how unhealthy it's become either. So by getting this out in the open, then it gives people an opportunity to work on their problems. Another thing that people should do is talk about it with another trusted adult, such as a family member, a staff supporter, or maybe even a counselor or therapist. If the other person is not willing to work on the relationship to make it healthy, then it just might be time then to walk away and end the relationship. Positive communication is a key component of a healthy relationship. This involves communicating honestly and openly about your thoughts and feelings. Assertive communication means speaking up for yourself, understanding that you do have rights, making eye contact to the best of our ability. Sometimes people have a difficult time making eye contact, and that's okay. Not yelling or threatening just to get your point across, and understanding that we can communicate respectfully while also expecting others to treat us respectfully. Using I messages is a great way to communicate assertively. This is a way to express your feelings without going on the attack. No one can argue with what your feelings are. So for example, I feel sad when you say mean things to me. Or I feel worried when you don't call me when you're going to be late. This is very different from, you always say mean things to me, or you never call me when you're going to be late. Those expressions just put the other person on the defense. Being assertive should not be confused with being aggressive. Aggressive communication does get the point across, but it does it in a disrespectful and rude way. If both people are angry and defensive, the conflict may just not get resolved at all. So please remember, it is important for people to have meaningful relationships in our lives. It takes effort to ensure that our relationships are healthy. Unhealthy relationships can make us feel badly about ourselves and make us feel sad. We should take time to evaluate all of our relationships and try to keep them healthy. Thank you for listening. This concludes the presentation on healthy relationships.